Stampers, welcome to another episode of Card Play. The finished card size on this card is 3 inches by 3 inches. So we're going to make this card and this adorable little matching envelope. We're going to need a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This piece is 6 inches by 3 inches. I scored it in the middle and then went ahead and folded it in half. We're going to take a scrap piece of paper and our 1 3/4 inch punch, and we're just going to punch out a scrap circle. I'm going to take a little bit of temporary dado adhesive and just put that on the back so that adhesive won't be permanent, it'll just be temporary. And we're going to place the mask in the center, as centered as you like, on the little 3x3 card. We're going to go ahead and take our Pocket Silhouettes stamp set. We're going to use this great little image, which reminds me of dandelions when you blow them and all of those pieces go flying. And we're going to use our Garden Green Classic ink. We're going to go ahead and ink up this stamp. And to create this border, we're just going to want to stamp down, and we're going to stamp in a circular motion kind of around this card, so repeatedly. So that's one time around. You can come in and see certain areas where you want to stamp in the little holes. And now we're just going to go ahead and remove that mask, and we've got a great little border. If you want, you can use your adhesive eraser or just your finger to get rid of that dado adhesive in the middle. It comes right off. The next step, we're going to take a piece of Tempting Turquoise cardstock and again our 1 3/4 inch punch, and we're just going to punch a circle from that, and we're going to use a couple of dimensionals to pop that up right in the center. And we're going to pop that up right in the center of all of that great border. We're going to set that aside for a moment. We're now going to take a piece of more mustard cardstock, a scratch piece, and our Scalloped circle punch, and we're going to punch out one scallop circle. And now what we're going to do is take our scissors and we're going to cut in, not too far, maybe about a 1/2 inch on each of these little scallops to start to create the petals of our flower. Now we're going to take a more mustard sponge, and we're going to take some more mustard classic ink, and we're just going to pick up some ink and sponge the edges. You want to hold on to this a little bit since now these petals are a little fragile. You can also go a little bit sideways and pick up some of the petals. And what I like to do is start to kind of bend some of these petals and fold them a little bit of scrunching. Great. Now we're going to take a piece of soft suede cardstock and we're going to make the center of this flower. To do that, we're going to take our 3/4 inch circle punch and punch out a circle. Then we're going to take our little piercing mat and our piercing tool, and we're just going to randomly start punching or piercing little holes into our piece of soft suede. What we're going for is a nice textured sunflower look on the back side of this cardstock. So this is now the side we've been piercing on. The side that I want us to use is this side. Look at how great that looks. It looks like little seeds or little texture. We're going to take our soft suede sponge, and we're also going to take some soft suede classic ink, and we're going to sponge around the edges of this little piece, and then we're going to sponge right across the top of these, right across the top of these great little pierced holes to give it some nice pop. Now another little trick, since those are little holes and we don't want white adhesive showing through, what I like to do is take my dimensionals, and I'm going to pull one off. And now this is the sticky side, and all I want to do is press my sponge onto that side of the dimensional. It won't remove the stick, but what it will do is give it a little bit of color so that when I put my dimensional on the back of this center, I don't get a lot of bright white showing through those holes. Stick that right in the center of our flower. And if you want, at this point, you can do a little bit more fluffing of those petals, and we're going to place another dimensional on the back of this flower. Place that great flower right there in the center of our card. The last thing we need to do is to create our great little greeting. To do that, we're going to once again take our scratch piece of soft suede cardstock. We're also going to grab a greeting out of the Pocket Silhouette stamp set, this friend-to-friend greeting. We're going to take our soft suede ink once again, and we're going to stamp that friend-to-friend greeting right on that piece of cardstock. Now we're going to take our modern label punch, and we're going to punch that out. And what I want us to do is punch the beginning of the word friend a little bit closer to the end. So let's pop that out. We're going to go ahead now and use our paper piercing tool once again. Bring our little mat back here. We're going to make a little hole right at the end, and I like to twirl that around just a little bit to make it a nice hole, since what we're about to do is take a tiny bit of linen thread to thread through that hole. Let's chop off a piece of linen thread, and we're going to thread it right through that hole, and we're going to knot that twice. That's once, and twice. And now we're going to do a quick clip of those ends. And if you want, this linen thread is great. You can actually splay the ends a little bit, separate those threads to make it a little bit more rough looking. And now we're going to see where we'd like our greeting to be on our card. Maybe right about there would work perfectly. So I just want to quickly mark that with a pencil, since I'm going to go ahead and cut this end. So just mark those two little ends so that we can use our scissors to go ahead and just cut a nice straight line. Boom. And take that end piece off. Now, of course, we need to take our soft suede ink once again and do a little bit of sponging to make this greeting really pop. We're just going to sponge around the edges to darken them a bit. Perfect. And last but not least, for the card, is to go ahead and use our dimensionals to pop that up. Sometimes for something thin like this, I like to use the edges of my adhesive rather than using the actual dimensionals themselves. And the best scissors I like to use to cut these are my Craft & Rubber scissors. So we're just going to take a piece of the edge of the dimensionals. There we go. I don't like to waste any piece of dimensionals. And oh, you can see I actually stamped it once on the back and didn't like how that came out, so I stamped it again. So we're going to cover that right up with our dimensionals and peel off the backing, and we're going to pop that right up on our card. Perfect. Now we have our adorable little card, and of course we want to make an adorable little matching envelope to put it in, and that you can tell is super simple. We're just going to take a plain square mini envelope, and I like the idea of having the green flowers going down the side. So we're just going to take our garden green ink again and quickly stamp a few times just along the edge of this side. And there you have it, an adorable little card and envelope, 3x3 card. I also wanted to show you a larger card that you can make using these same flowers. What I did here was take 3 of these flowers. You'll notice I used a little bit of crystal effects on here to add some dewdrops to those flowers. And I also took my Little Leaves Sizzlet to make some textured leaves and sponged the edges of those a little bit and added those. You'll notice a little bit of the spritz tool back here and some sponging and soft suede around the edges, and the same similar modern label greeting that we used for the mini card. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I look forward to seeing you again here in the craft room.